It was a quiet afternoon at the Tactical Operations Center, TOC, just outside Fort Bragg. Sergeant Major Luke Carson had long since traded in his combat boots for a desk, but his sharp eyes and even sharper instincts still made him the backbone of the base's operations. With his distinguished career in the Special Forces, Carson had seen it all: military operations in hostile lands, covert missions under the cover of darkness, and countless hours in the field. But today was different. The hum of computer screens and the occasional static crackle from the radio filled the room. The soldiers were busy with logistics, operations, planning, and surveillance monitoring. But just as Carson was about to sip his lukewarm coffee, the sound of roaring motorcycles broke through the base's quiet air like a fist through glass. Out of nowhere, a group of men dressed in leather jackets adorned with patches rumbled into the parking lot outside the TOC. The Harleys were loud and obnoxious, but it wasn't the noise that drew attention. It was their presence. Carson stood up, narrowing his eyes. They weren't from around here. Not military. Not local either. "Who are these guys?" he muttered, his instincts kicking in. He grabbed his headset. "Control? This is Carson," he said, his voice smooth but firm. "We've got some unknowns outside the TOC. They're not military." His assistant, Corporal Rivera, leaned in. "Sir, they've got the look of a local biker gang, the Black Wolves. They're notorious for making trouble. But I don't think they realize where they've rolled into." Carson scanned the parking lot through the small window. 6 bikers, their tattoos and intimidating stares adding to their reputation, swaggered toward the entrance. The leader, a burly man with a thick beard and a pair of dark aviators, strutted ahead of the group. His patch proudly displayed WOLF across his back. "Looks like they're coming inside, sir," Rivera said, voice tight. "Should I alert MPs?" Carson thought for a moment. There was something about the way they moved. The way they carried themselves, it didn't scream mischief. It screamed a confrontation was coming, and it was going to be ugly. But Carson was no rookie. He'd handled situations like this before. He wasn't about to let a bunch of local bikers think they could walk into his domain without repercussions. He wasn't just any soldier. He was the soldier who had handled things that would have broken lesser men. He motioned to Rivera to stay put and walked calmly toward the door. When he opened it, the cold wind hit him, but Carson stood his ground. He didn't step outside, just enough to make his presence felt. The bikers were already in the hallway, blocking the entrance to the main TOC. "Can I help you, gentlemen?" Carson asked, his voice calm but steady. The biker leader, the one who'd been in front, looked Carson up and down. He was clearly sizing him up. Carson didn't flinch. He had faced down much worse than this in the heat of battle. "Yeah, we're just here to have a little fun," the biker leader said with a sneer. "Heard this place was military, figured you guys wouldn't mind showing us around. You know, the real tour." The others laughed, but Carson's eyes narrowed. He could see it now. These weren't just bikers looking for trouble. They were looking to provoke it. They weren't in the mood to tour. They wanted to make a statement. "I don't think you know where you are," Carson said slowly, his posture rigid. "This is Fort Bragg, and you're not welcome here." The leader's smile faded a little, but he tried to hold his ground. "We don't take kindly to threats, soldier." Carson's voice didn't change in tone, but there was an edge now. "I'm not threatening you. I'm giving you a warning. Leave, or I'll call the MPs. I'm sure they'll be happy to escort you out. Or maybe you want a little more than that. I can promise you this isn't the place for your games." The tension in the hallway was palpable now, but Carson's voice was as cold as the air outside. It wasn't a threat, it was a guarantee. The bikers hesitated for a moment, and the leader's bravado wavered slightly. "We don't want no trouble," one of the bikers muttered. But the leader, unwilling to back down, scoffed and turned away. "Fine, you don't want us here then. But mark my words. Soldier! Soul! The Black Wolves don't forget." Carson took a step forward, his eyes cold and steely. "And the next time you try something like this, I'll be ready. Now get out of here." The bikers exchanged uneasy glances before the leader jerked his head toward the door. "Let's go," he barked. As they filed out, Carson watched them go, his hand hovering over his radio. The moment the last biker passed, he keyed in a quick message to the MPs. Code red, perimeter lockdown. No one gets in or out until further notice. I want a full sweep of the base. The bikers might have thought they were messing with just any soldier. But Carson wasn't just any soldier. He had a reputation, and he just reminded them of it. As the rumble of motorcycles faded into the distance, Carson returned to his desk, sipping his coffee like nothing had happened. But the truth was, he wasn't just protecting the base, he was sending a message. The next time someone messed with him, they'd learn just how wrong they were.